to the children of immortality, even those who live in the highest sphere. The way is found, there is no way out of this darkness, that is by perceiving Him who is beyond all darkness. There is no other way. Nanya Pantha Vidyate Ayanayo. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Sampriti Munich's Bijoya program. Shubho Bijoya. I have a difficult task at hand today evening. My heart says I should speak only in Bangla, but my head says that for the benefit of every one of you who has taken the pains to spend this Sunday evening with us, I think Bengali is one of the only language which cannot do justice to the emotions and the enthusiasm that you have all said. Thank you all of you for coming to our show, and thank you on behalf of Sampriti, who has tried to perhaps give you an evening for all of us here, which celebrates the festive spirit that we have been spending on occasion of Durga Puja for the last 5 days. So, just to give that a bit of a introduction, I think Sampriti is a very new organization that we have formed earlier this year, by virtue of which we have tried to unite the spirit of Bengal in the culture of Germany. And there is a huge population of Bengalis who is here for decades and who are here for only a few months. It is our humble effort to see if Sampriti can offer a platform to this Bengali diaspora in southern Germany and unite them in the spirit of the culture, the art, the education, the knowledge, and the society from where we have the same roots. You have been given one leaflet of Sampriti as a part of your welcome package. My humble request to all of you would be to have a look into that and read the spirit through which Sampriti was created, and do feel free to ask us questions through the next 3-4 hours that we will be there. And of course, definitely beyond that, you have the numbers to contact us to clarify any of your doubts. I think this is an organization of not a few individuals, but it is an organization for all of you, and it is for those people like you that this organization has been born, and it is for those people and by those people that this organization will be sustained in the long run. Talking of sustenance, I think it is very important for us to have very strong patronage. Organization of this nature needs the right kind of blend of the seniority and the experience of people who have been here and who love Bengal and the Bengali culture for that matter. Sampritir bhasha ektai Bangaliana. বিদেশে বাঙালিয়ানার একটা স্বাদ যদি আমরা আপনাদের দিতে পারি, সেটাই আমাদের এই অর্গানাইজেশনের সার্থকতা। And I think one of the ways of representing the culture and the ethos of Bengal is only possible if we are able to inculcate and imbibe amongst ourselves the great heritage of Bengal that we have been a proud part of. The history of Bengal and the Indian literature that we read, the decades of the scholars that have survived and has enriched our history, are a part of that platform based on which this intention to create Sampriti was founded for that matter. And even here, I think locally, as a part of this building of the platform of Sampriti, we have been encouraged and enriched by the experience and support by many people. It is difficult to take only a few names, but I will definitely say that our intention to spread this information and openness to invite everyone who shares the same ideas to be a part of Sampriti essentially reflects in the crowd here, who doesn't only come from Bengal, but who doesn't only come from Munich, but who comes from different parts of Germany and even beyond, for that matter. However, a ceremony like this, which celebrates Bijoya, which is a way of celebrating the triumph of good over evil, of course, needs to have a very ceremonial beginning for that matter. And I think we have amongst us two extremely close people to us who love Bengal, who love Calcutta, and who love us. And that's the reason they have essentially spent their time on this Saturday afternoon to be a part with us. And I would take this, I would take this chance to essentially give only a bit of a huge curriculum vitae that I have been privy to. And I know I will not do justice to anything that they have been doing over all these years, but definitely it is our humble way of perhaps trying to capture a whole lot of things only in a few minutes. My first guest tonight is a gentleman whose quest for answers in life drew him to India. He was born on 31st of March 1939 to German parents in Hungary. And there, while in Vienna, he met a blind man in the Indian consulate. And then he made an audacious plan to take a scooter ride to India in 1957. Perhaps that was too ambitious of a plan. It did not materialize, but he did go to India on road nevertheless. In 1958, he took a Volkswagen Beetle and drove to India and landed in Bangalore in 1958, all for the purpose of setting up a blind school academy. For the next 4 years, he spent in the length and breadth of the country, starting from Bangalore to Rohtak in the north to Cuttack in the east, to spread his work in the blind school academy. Not only that, he even did his graduation from Utkal University in 1961. After graduation, he proceeded to the prestigious Ivy League University in Pennsylvania. However, not before meeting a certain Mrs. Bose in Bangalore. He did his master's and PhD in the US, taught in US universities, and came back and joined the faculty of economics in Oxford University. He is also a distinguished member of parliament in Germany from 1990 to 2002 for SPD. He is an authority in economics, finance, social policies, and has taught in the US University since 1971. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my proud privilege to introduce you Dr. Martin Pfaff. My second guest tonight was the official guest of Pandit Nehru in 1961. She was born on November 29th, 1942, but she hardly saw her father as he dedicated himself to the independence of India in the thick of World War II. So, brought up by her mother Emily Schenkel, she did a specialization in economics and has been a faculty of the University of Oxford for many years. She is deeply connected to social organizations, Inquiry Commission of the Bundestag, and also been a deputy mayor of Stadtbergen, where she lives. She has traveled around the world and innumerable times to Kolkata, being the guest of Shishir Bose and Krishna Bose, in connection with the legacy of her father. Very recently, she contributed to the biography of her father that was gifted first to the President of India, Mr. Pranab Mukherjee. And she was also seen during the opening of the brand new Kolkata terminal last year, which is named after her father. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my proudest privilege to introduce you and welcome Dr. Anita Pfaff Bose as a part of the crowd. May I request Dr. please come on the road and we have a small opening ceremony.
You must therefore be fought with the sword. But it is not possible for our countrymen at home to organize an armed revolution and to fight the British army of occupation with modern arms. Indian arms must therefore evolve on Indians living abroad and particularly on Indians living in each region. When if you compare the history of our national struggle with the history of similar struggles in other parts of the world, you will realize that we in India have lacked one thing and one thing alone. We lack the strength and organization whereby we can meet force with force.
Thank you. So being with us, I think that's a privilege that we don't frequently get, that too in such a crowd celebrating such an occasion. And I think it goes without saying that the crowd and the audience is waiting to hear a few words from both of you, starting with Dr. Martin Pfaff. Oh, Madam.
Mr. Chairman, sisters and brothers, girls and boys, a warm welcome to you and Bijoya greetings. It's a great privilege and we are very happy. I'm very happy to be with you here today. After all, we all gather together both as international beings and all as Bengalis. Most of you have been here for quite some time, others for maybe not that long. And I guess all of us are sort of citizens of the world in a way, and that I think also implies that it is important to keep one's own cultural roots and to keep one's own cultural identity, because I think out of that you can also be a true citizen of the world. India, and particularly Bengal, is very dear to all of us, and of course today we come to the conclusion of the greatest Bengali religious festival, which means a lot to all the Hindu Bengalis, but on the other hand I also would like to think of the Muslim festival, which has just taken place a short time ago, because Bengal has always been a country comprising both religions in a very prominent way. And I always had the feeling that my father in particular was also, I think, influenced to a great degree by this combination of religions, which was prevalent in Bengal. I think he could not have been the political leaders as a devout Hindu, I must say. And for example, whenever he embarked on any greater travel abroad, if he wasn't just jailed at the time, he would go to Dakshinesha to pray there and do his pujas there. And when he could not go himself, very often he sent some relatives who went on his behalf. But for him as a devout Hindu, it was always very important to show respect to all other religions, and particularly in the Indian National Army, I think that was one very important feature, the fact that all the religions members of all religions respected each other, that they would invite each other to their respective religious festivals, and that they believed in a peaceful and brotherly and sisterly coexistence. I know, and we all know, that unfortunately in the wake of India's gaining independence, This spirit, which was dear to my father, was also very dear to Mahatma Gandhi. Unfortunately, it was not realized in a really true way, and I think today most of us are greatly grieved and hurt by the fact that during that period, even though particularly Hinduism is a very tolerant religion, the practice of religion unfortunately was not all that peaceful, and many people had to suffer in the wake of that. And of course this problem of religious respect or the lack thereof, I think, has been with us for a long time, and unfortunately, particularly in recent times, also has become a very sad and dangerous development in many parts of the world. Well, I think, particularly in the spirit of celebrating a religious festival, a Hindu religious festival, I certainly hope that India will be able to experience a peaceful and positive relationship between all the different religious and social groups in the country, because I think if the efforts are put to work in the direction of cooperating and respecting each other, I think a lot more can be achieved personally and also for others. And I think this was a spirit which certainly was important for all the Indian leaders in all the men and women in the independence struggle. And I think independence struggle is something that I think nowadays we experience has to be going on all the time, because we are all fighting for the independence of different things, independence of poverty, of ill health, of illiteracy, and so on. And so I think in that spirit I wish you all a very nice festival, and I hope we will get a chance to talk and enjoy this festival together. Namaskar.
Thank you. Had I got a chance, I would have spent hours and hours of showing actually Abegpriyo Bangalir Shange Netaji Jo এবং Netaji Konnake স্টেজে পেয়ে বক্তৃতা দেওয়ার সুযোগ কীভাবে হারাতে হয় তার এক্সাম্পল বোধহয় আমিই দিলাম। কারণ ঘন্টার পর ঘন্টা নিয়ে কথা বলা যায়, আড্ডা বলা যায়, প্রশ্ন করা যায়, উত্তর করা যায়, বাট আমাদের সামনে আমাদের উদ্দেশ্য আলাদা, আমাদের একটা লম্বা প্রোগ্রাম আছে। থ্যাংক ইউ ম্যাডাম, থ্যাংকস। অ্যান্ড আই থিঙ্ক there is only one essential message that perhaps I should have spoken in the beginning as well, that when Netaji formed the army here, essentially the secularity of that army was exemplary for that matter. There was nothing to do with religion or for that matter. The independence, the agnostic nature of that formation for that matter was so exemplary that today, even 50 or 70 years later, we all remember the way that he could unite a huge diaspora of people who used to fight for some other world, in some other country, in North Africa, being prisoners of war, coming back and he getting the way through this political conundrum of Germany and trying to get his men in order to fight for his independence is something that is told in very, very less words in the history books. And I think even if it is magnified X number of times, that X value can never be limited. But I have to limit myself in the sense that I think we have someone here who is not only lived a very interesting life, starting off with that audacious try to go to India in a scooter, but also whenever I have spoken to him, he has a lot to tell about life, his experience, and of course their life for that matter. So I would like to invite Dr. Martin Pfaff and spend a few minutes with us in throwing some of those experiences and the way that you think this audience would love to hear from you.
No, that's fine. Dear Shaibal, ladies and gentlemen, children, shouldn't forget the children. When I first went to the family home in Kolkata, I was received in the traditional manner by being served for lunch a fish from the great river, and I was welcomed very heartily in the family at large. And I had many opportunities later on of encountering our members, practically all the members of the family, and therefore I can say with great conviction, in all my travels around the world, I have not found a more desirable position than being a Jamai in a Bengali family. Now, of course, this family was and is an interesting family, not only because of the great doctors and lawyers and other public figures, of course overshadowed by Netaji Subash Chandra Bose. In fact, I'm personally very much indebted because I really benefited greatly from him. Because I recognize in Anita, if you pardon me saying it so openly, many of the qualities which he's being admired: great intellect, great idealism, altruism. And I also recognize in Anita, my mother-in-law was a very strong woman, Viennese. She had a great sense of humor, and she had a fierce loyalty for all those who were dear to her heart, particularly for Netaji, of course. And she maintained fidelity to him up to her death. Now, since this is a religious moment which thinks of religious elements, let me say that even though, as Shaibal Giri mentioned, I had spent 4 years in India as a volunteer, not for money or anything like that, I'm the one who really benefited from my stay in India. Of course, I fell in love with India before I fell in love with Anita. So, but I benefited from my stay because I had some real troubling questions which I brought with me from Europe. For example, which is a religion which makes the best man and woman, for example. And of course in India I learned that all religions lead to the same Brahman, even though they use different names. Paramahamsa Sri Ramakrishna is certainly an example who opened the eyes actually of the world and also mine, when he said all religions are just different ways to the very same end. And I encountered Swami Sivanandaji in Rishikesh, stayed there for some time, in Bhagavan Sri Satya Sai Baba, who set up an ashram not far from the school for the blind, which I had found. And I found that religious tolerance is one of the great qualities which I associate with India, notwithstanding the fact that there have been some adverse examples in recent history. But nonetheless, so that is certainly something which I wish to remember today, the tolerance. And since Netaji has been mentioned, I'd like to say that he had a very high regard and esteem for women. Without that, he would not have founded a women's battalion with Mrs. Lakshmi Segar, formerly Swaminathan, as a leader. So that is something which I think in nowadays India one should not forget. So the sense of respect for other religions and the sense of respect for women, after all, our mothers and our sisters should give us enough cause to do that. So without any further ado, let me thank you for giving me the opportunity of being present today, saying a few words, and I wish all the best for the happenings of today. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Dr. Pfaff. I think the mention of Sri Ramakrishna and Vivekananda essentially reminds me of his first speech in Chicago in 1893. And I think that is the speech that perhaps changed Hinduism forever, that changed Indianism forever for that matter. And I think, if I remember correctly, that first speech ended with something similar to what you said. Like different streams having their sources in different places, all mingle their water into the sea. So, O Lord, do the different paths which men through their different tendencies take. Something alive, all indeed to be. So that was a speech that changed the world's eyes towards India and towards Hinduism, for that matter, or for that matter, the secularity of Indianism, I should say, in today's context. And we are extremely privileged to hear these precious words for you, for that matter, because having traveled all along the world and for reasons of quest towards own self, is perhaps to a certain extent is also personified in the way that we try to have the opening sequence. Shrinyantu Vishye Amrita Shaputra means essentially that all men are essentially sons of the immortal. There is nothing good, bad about it, for that matter. It is through the knowledge of self that we can attain our singularity, for that matter. Thank you so much, and thanks for coming with us.